The following is a conversation with Paul Bancell. Paul is a member of Ritual Howls as well as a good friend. If you like what you hear, please follow us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/industrial Detroit. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube and check out the Industrial Detroit releases on Bandcamp. And that's at detroitindustrial.bandcamp.com. Thank you for listening. All right, Paul, welcome to the podcast. Even though I don't know if we even got that whole podcast, like I guess it was from an iPod, right? But now we don't even have the pod thing. But
Yeah, I don't even know where that terminology came from, but it's
uh,
thanks for having me,
yeah,
Kirill.
for sure. I miss hanging out with you guys. You know, that was a fun time there for. I mean, we're sharing a studio for a while there. I guess it was like 3-4 years, something like that, right? Maybe more.
Yeah, we were in that space for a while. I mean, you and Chris have been hanging out there for, oh, I don't know, for a few years before I even kind of um,
Yeah.
started coming around. But it was awesome that the space and getting to be around you making work and playing music and other people that were involved was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good time. We got gentrified out of that space,
Yeah,
basically. Um,
yeah, I don't even know what's going on in the market anymore, man. It's crazy.
I drove by the old spot, and you remember the building that was on the corner there, the yellow building?
Yes.
They like tore that down. So that building is,
What?
yeah, like it's no longer there. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know what that area, or I don't know, downtown, the whole place is going through some sort of evolution,
For
hopefully for the
sure.
better. At least there's some spots like Trina Sos is still in the market, and
Yeah,
Pinos will be around.
yeah, there's a couple of people hanging out for sure. It seems like a lot of the lofts are empty now because they wanted to get like market value for them, but nobody wants to pay that. But it seems like they'd rather
Yeah,
sit on it rather than give it, at a lower price, and they'll just waiting for that to catch up. I'm sure that was a good plan before the COVID thing, but I don't know. It's still,
yeah.
it's a lot of empty space right now there. It seems like all those lofts are empty in that building, in that division building.
Jeez, man, that fucking sucks, man. It's such a waste. There's some
Yeah.
cool stuff going on.
Yeah, the dude, I remember that landlord. He was like, "Yeah, I want to support an artist and all." And a couple of months later, he's like, "Actually, I want you to get out of here. I want to
Gonna
make,
renovate it.
yeah, I'm gonna renovate it and sell it for like however much money, and I want, you know, that kind of action." I'm like, "All right, well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting time. It's like we all knew it was coming.
hmm
It's just hard, to plan ahead for something like that, I guess."
yeah, and to like, I don't know, see like where the next like pocket of like people doing shit is gonna be. It's
Yeah,
like pretty cool. It's pretty cool to just kind of be around. Um, I don't know, just the vibe there and like the creative energy. And now it's like gets pushed out. I don't know. I guess there'll be some other spots popping up in different neighborhoods, maybe
yeah, well,
Southwest or something.
yeah. I got that new space in the southwest. Um,
Oh,
you
you
know,
do?
well, I'm running the kung fu school out of that building. That my kung fu brother owns it, but he's kind of letting me use the basement there for working on stuff.
Oh yeah, Chris was telling me that basement is sick. It's like
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good space.
It's about like 3,000 square feet. It's crazy, you know.
Dude, that's awesome.
Um, you know, I just we were throwing a couple events there too. Um, but then, you know, again, the COVID thing happened. I'm kind of laying low. It's been hard to, of course, teach classes in COVID, you know, because whatever, it's, yeah, the contact thing, right? Man, a lot of people are going out of business. It's a fucking crazy, crazy time right now.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna survive, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Hopefully, the record stores and comic shops are the ones that make it through. That would be the
Yeah.
best. The venues, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm feeling for the venues, the restaurants, of course, you know,
Mhm.
and, yeah, I guess the record stores, if they have online stuff, it's probably they're making okay. I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
people, I don't know,
it's
people want
uh,
content,
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, I was talking to our label and just asking them how they were doing because it seems like so many businesses are hurting, and I guess the
yeah,
labels are doing okay. It's the everything around the performance venues and like lighting techs and sound engineers and like man, that would be so rough to be like in making your living as a stage tech right now. Be like stressing, you
yeah.
know.
And I feel like there's a few bands, you know, they're all in on it that made their money off touring, which is pretty, you can't replace that right now, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do some online stuff, but it's just not, I don't think you can make that same money that you were touring or whatever, you know.
No, I don't know. Seems like, yeah, if you didn't have to have a day job before, you definitely have to have one now, you know?
Yeah, whatever that is,
Uh,
right? Whatever day job you can get now.
yeah.
Moving,
Yeah.
moving boxes in some warehouse or some shit, you know. I mean, you know, there's stuff you can do on a computer. All the design stuff, I guess, you know, that's still
Hmm.
happening, but it's like, yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard for the entertainment industry, as it were. But it seems like the end is in sight, right? They started the
Yeah.
approve the vaccine. You're gonna take the vaccine, Paul?
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna take the vaccine.
I
Are you
know. I'm
kidding
the same
me?
way. I'm gonna take it. I don't care if I feel like shitty for a day. You know,
Yeah.
just want to be safe from it, and I want to keep my family safe. You know, like
Yeah. I don't get it, man. Like, you know, I'm skeptical of the government too, but I was talking like the the cemeteries across the street, and I was talking to the security guard, and he
yeah,
was like saying, he was like, I remember growing up when polio was around, and he was
yeah.
like, I
That's
don't understand this whole like anti-vaccine. Anyone who had like seen or had family member that got polio, like vaccines are fucking angels. That was a nightmare.
yeah,
So I'm like, yeah, I'm all in, man. I want to get back to, yeah, going to see shows and playing shows and hanging out with friends and like, take my daughter to the museum and like all that shit.
yeah. Play dates, all that stuff. I mean, I'm
Mm.
really haven't been doing much. Um, yeah, no, it's definitely. I wish it was more of a teachable moment for us. I guess it just seems like it divided the country even further now. You
Oh,
know,
the like vaccine argument or just the pandemic
just
in
the
general?
pandemic.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's definitely made like, I was talking to a friend yesterday and just like, I don't know, it just like aggravated any frustrations you had. I feel like it just amped up anything. It's like
Yeah,
if you were upset or had some sort of tendency toward like depression or anger, it just like is magnified any of this like, I don't know, intense stuff. It's made it worse.
I've
Uh,
been. I think I've been drinking more whiskey. Um,
Yeah, that'll happen too.
I mean, because I just buy like a bottle, and I guess I'm exaggerating the size, but not really. It's a bottle. And,
Yeah.
I don't have to drive anywhere, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just drink a little bit every day. It helps me go to sleep. But
Yeah.
some nights I drink more than a little bit just to like when I'm working on stuff or whatever. How are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing with that? I know you haven't been drinking for a long time. Like
Yeah.
you just like what do you do for stress?
For stress relief,
Yeah.
man, I don't know.
Is it the music that kind of
Yeah, I've been trying to play a lot of guitar. That tends to be the more like positive
sure.
activities. I mean, I can obsess about a bunch of stuff, but yeah, definitely music. I've just been trying to like play some piano and been
Oh, cool.
I've been like going like down these like YouTube wormholes of like guitar lessons and um yeah, it's so weird the amount of stuff you can learn on YouTube. It's like wild. You don't have to like hunt down someone who like knows how to play certain styles or
Yeah.
anything. Like it's all right there. I mean, you got to kind of like sort through it. There's a lot of garbage out there, but there's um some good teachers. And then um yeah, trying to pick apart some songs now and then. And
Yeah, no, you're good at doing that. Didn't you do a whole, what was it, a Beatles album or something like that before,
yeah.
where you just did all the songs or something like that from it?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I was going through a breakup or something and like
Uh,
yeah, I was like losing my shit and probably like yeah, going to like dark places, and so when I'm like trying to avoid that, I just like try and become a workaholic. So I
mm,
was like, I'm gonna learn the White Album in
all
a
right.
month and play a show. So I got like a few other like crazy guys to join the undertaking, and yeah, I don't know, it was like 25 songs or something we learned, and we yeah played the White Album. It was like I think the first record we did acoustic and then did a break, and then the second record we did electric.
Whoa.
um, it was
How
fun, man.
how hard was it to do that? Like to learn all that in a short amount of time?
uh I mean, I had a bunch of notes like sort of laid out all over the stage floor. I was like couldn't remember some chords to this song or lyrics to that song,
So you were
and then
singing too, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
and then we like I think I just made it really simple because like the Beatles can have all these like just a bunch of like ornamentation chords and stuff that aren't really important to like the structural melodies. So I just dumbed it down a lot to like try and make it a handful of chords for each song.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's cool. You have a recording of that
I
somewhere?
think I think I got video of it somewhere.
That's cool.
I remember I started playing, and then the bass player stopped and was like, "Man, your guitar is way out of tune." I was like, "Oh," so I had to like sit down and retune my guitar because I don't know. I used to not be so good at that sort of thing.
It
Like,
seems like you do that a lot though with Ritual Howls. You're doing all sorts of tunings, right? Like
yeah,
like in between songs, I notice you're tuning. So is that like a different, you tune it into a different scale for different songs?
yeah. I've been like, I like learned a couple tunings that are super drony, so you can
Uh,
get like that sort of like sitar like drone feel, where
mm-hmm.
almost all of the strings are tuned to D, and then there's like yeah, so it just makes this super drone, and a couple other of the strings like can add some melody. That's a really fun tuning.
So it's
uh,
all D on all the strings, huh?
or all D except for the A, and or I take that, yeah. Well, you have three D's, two A's, and a G. They call it the Dad Gad.
Got
there's
it.
like there's like a bunch of songs. It's like super like Middle Eastern sounding, sort of open tuning. Um, but the D and the A's are like just a D power chord or whatever. So um, it sounds like a wash of a drone, and then the G is the string where you can add a bunch of like um, I don't know, little melodies here and there.
Hmm. Interesting. So do you start when you write, like, let's say a Ritual Howl song, do you start in that tuning, or do you write it in a normal tuning and then bring it into that?
I'm usually right in normal tunings. I don't know, just because like that's what I learned playing like
Sure.
rock and roll and country stuff, and um, but then yeah, I'll go into that tuning sometimes, or like other versions of it, just sort of based on like the jams that Chris and Ben and I will come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll be like, oh, a drone on this note will sound really cool. So I'll tune one of the strings to like the main note of like the jam that we're doing.
Mm.
And a lot of times they're like D or A. Ben will come up with a bass line. And so I'll find a way to tune multiple strings to D or A. So there's always this like sort of meditative drone
Mm.
happening within like the chords that I'm playing. Um, but
Yeah, there's I'll give you a compliment here. There's a part in that Ritual Howls video that you guys just put out, was like a live.
oh yeah.
And there was once I forget which song it was, but there was like 8 or 16 measures where you were doing like the slide thing on the guitar, and it
Mm-hmm.
sounded amazing. It was like, what the hell is that? That's
Oh,
not in the
sweet
song.
man.
Like
Thanks,
because I know the song and
man.
it wasn't in the recorded whatever, but it was something you were,
Mhm.
I guess, improvising, or not improvising, but something you were doing live there that just sounded like it's like that's the shit right there. Like,
Sweet. That's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, yeah, I mean that's like the slide caters to like the drone so well, you know. It's like if
right.
you can get this like hum going of some sort of note, then like putting the slide on top of that within whatever key we're messing around in, like it the the textures and the sounds of it, like they just go so well together. I find it really hard to like try and play like slide riffs over a chord progression in like a regular tuning, because it tends to sound pretty I don't know, just like it's contrived. Is that a word? I don't know. Just
That's
like
a
kind
word.
of,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
I don't know. This sounds like a little bit, yeah, too obvious, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, thanks, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
slide's super fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you're really thinking like, uh, I know it's a lot of shop talk here, but I
That's all right.
just,
Shop talk's fun, man.
yeah, that's, I just, I've been fucking around with sound for a long time, but in the last couple of years, I've only started getting into like, all right, what key is this and what the scales are and whatever, right? So now I'm kind of fascinated by this whole thing that I've completely overlooked because I was like, I don't need notes, I have noise or whatever. Um,
Yeah, but that's like, I don't know. See, then I'm looking at what you and Chris and like some like super electronic like industrial heads have like cultivated as these sounds, and like I'm like, man, why have I been dealing with notes and like studying like theory and learning like rock songs when like that shit is amazing. Like the
I-
beats and the textures that you guys come up with is awesome.
Thanks, but yeah, but I think there's the truth is somewhere in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's cool when you see somebody that knows a lot about music theory apply it in like a slightly weirder way, than what I feel like a lot of people that know that stuff don't want to make weird stuff, you know? Like
Yeah.
they want to just it's like, well, no, it's like this and that's it. And you're like, well, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, like here's the formula, and if it doesn't follow that formula, or if you break the formula, like you have to break it in certain ways, like with jazz, it's like
Yeah.
there's certain ways to break the rules, kind of a thing. And I
You know,
don't
when you
know.
when you go to like a YouTube thing and you're like, well, how do chords work? They always like go, well, just do like whatever, 1 4 5 or whatever it is, right? And you're like, huh, okay. And you do it and you're like, yeah, that does sound like a thing, Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you use those kind of little like do you use I don't know, do you use that or like that wheel? What's that wheel called?
Oh yeah, the circle of
The
fifths.
circle of fifths, yes.
It's like yeah. You must find the circle of fifths deep within the forest.
Right.
No, I don't really. I mean, I sort of know some theory. I'm not like a classical composer or anything. Some concepts like make more sense to me. I mean, most of like where I find like ideas is by listening to other music, and I'm like, oh, that chords change or what that song does melodically or the way the chords feel in that song is cool. And so I'll try and sort of understand how like theory applies to why it sounds cool. Like, oh, what chords did they use there? Or um and a lot of times it just doesn't line up. It's like it doesn't follow any of the rules of music theory. And so most of the time it doesn't even matter, but sometimes it does. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Like that, like what, like Dylan writes all these major chord songs, but he's like throwing in all these minor chords that he's like borrowing from a minor key. And you're like,
Hmm.
oh, that's why it sounds cool, is because he's like doing that. So it can help with like when you're stuck. Like a lot of times we'll be in these positions when we're writing music and it'll just be this repetitive jam and you're like, okay, where is this going, and you
Right.
try and like you're like, okay, we could be doing this for 5 minutes, and if you were on a bunch of drugs it would sound cool, but if you're not, like, you got to try and do something interesting. And then but if you try and like force a change, a lot of times it just sounds so whatever, like forced and obvious and abrupt. And if that's not what you're actually going for, sometimes learning like all those little tricks that other composers have used, you can like kind of go into like a toolbox and start like trying things to see if you can like make something a little more interesting. Yeah. But
Tell some kind of story there. It seems like, all right. Yeah.
yeah, well, that's what I was thinking about that too. It's like, yeah, because with like the sounds should be telling a story just as much as like lyrics should be. It's like it should be like a journey where you're starting somewhere and you go somewhere and maybe you come home and maybe you don't. you know
Yeah. There's a resolution or not, right?
mm,
Yeah, it's weird that these frequencies that we like really learn these specific frequencies that when a human brain hears it, you know, makes you feel a certain way. Like it's connected to our emotions. It's so
mm-hmm.
weird. that it is that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, you're a math guy. Like,
Well, math explains. You can explain the math of it, but I think it's more of a neuroscience. I was just talking to Danielle, uh, this this lady from Pittsburgh. She does like life coding stuff, but she's a neuroscientist, and
oh, wow.
she studies like effects of one of the things she studies, I believe, is the way sound affects the human brain. And it's just, I mean, I don't think they really know exactly how the emotions are triggered by frequencies like that. I mean, it's
Yeah, I would I would imagine that it's like pretty mysterious. Because
yeah,
I'm like, isn't it like kind of universal, like happy music? Like even people from different cultures around the world can recognize something as like making you feel happy or making you feel sad or like making you feel uncomfortable and
I do wonder about that because
dissonance.
I know like facial expressions change with cultures, right? A little bit,
Hmm.
but sound does seem like is universal, at least to the human brain, the way we're wired. Maybe to some like alien being, they come and they listen to like whatever, some happy song that we have, and I'm like, turn that noise off. It's a bunch of scraping sounds to me, like,
Yeah.
because it's something to do. I mean, it's got to have to do with just the way that we intake the sound, right? Too, and what that's connected to. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I don't know. I've always thought of it as like as kind of a math problem, as like analogous to math, and like got what is it, like the different scales are just like the harmonic overtones, and then the ways that they can be combined is like
oh yeah,
mathematical formulas.
that's all total math, like the way that it works. But like the why of it, I don't know. Like I don't know
Hmm.
why. Why does
Yep.
that? You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's like the sacred. People do that sacred geometry drawing stuff. And it works out that way. Uh, if you just follow certain
Hmm.
patterns, right? And it's similar with sound, but yeah. Have you ever used that stuff in the music, like all that, the idea of phi and all that?
No.
No, like
No.
finding, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's I don't know. It's
I
something me and Chris
yeah.
were talking about, and we were like, like fractals and all that stuff.
Yeah. I know a little bit about fractals.
Where it's like repeating, but then you condense it down. It's repeating in a smaller scale. Um, yeah, there's a lot of territory to explore for sure. If you want, looking at it like it's almost like a laboratory, the music stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I also hear what you're saying with like how the sort of emotive qualities can be like kind of mysterious, and it's weird. Like I don't know, I try and uh, think of like how music and like spiritual practice has been so intertwined for so long, and
Yeah,
like how it does like provide some sort of very like primal comfort or something, or um, some sort of connection. Because yeah, it doesn't make sense sometimes. Like I'll just hear a handful of chords in a row or something and just become like totally overwhelmed with like fear or grief or longing. Like it just like can kind of hit you out of nowhere. It's like why?
yeah.
Um,
The soundtrack people really have it figured out, right?
yeah, fucking yeah, the way they can like pull the strings in
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a some sort of like narrative, um,
Well, it's connected to the video, but you have these build-ups and drops, and it's just really dynamic.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's the change in the sound is the change in like air pressure, right? It's hitting your ear. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. I took the physics class, but
Yeah, that's your thing, right?
it's one of the things. But there's actually a really cool class I wanted to take. It was called like The Sound of Music, where they explore a lot of that stuff, but I never did. So in a regular
Oh,
physics class, they kind of brush on it, like they'll have like a couple of pages on sound or chapter or something. All right, anyway, moving on. You're like, wait, go back to that.
yeah.
That and electrical circuits. That's always fun. Yeah, I'll look at
Yeah,
that.
I tried to take I took a couple like electronics classes. We like soldered some things together.
That's cool.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at it though. And like I tried to fix like do some simple repairs on guitars and I pulled some stuff apart, but I usually end up messing things up. And like dripping solder on something I shouldn't or um I don't
Being per-
know.
yeah, being precise with soldering is it's a skill for sure. Like I know, like Dave is really good at it. Um,
Yeah.
he can
Yeah.
just he has that. I don't know. Certain people have a mind towards it, though. Like the practical application of things. I'm no good at it either, really. I can build some stuff, but it's not clean. It's not like
Mhm.
some people can just like, yeah, it's perfect solder job. I'm like, oh, all right, you know,
Yeah, like building pedals and stuff.
yeah,
That's pretty
fixing
cool.
fixing synth. It's like, oh, it's this, whatever, this transformer that's blown, and you got to replace this thing. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Um, so yeah, the spiritual practice related to sound, yeah, there seems to be a lot in there. I
Yeah.
mean, just the fact that we can change our emotions with sound, I feel like there's a lot in there with that. You know, like
Yeah.
like
I yeah, I don't know. I feel like I get so caught up since I'm playing guitar and like singing and trying to uh like write some lyrics. Um but I think so much of it is just in the beat, is in like the drums, in the rhythm is like
yeah,
is so yeah, like it's such like a prominent force in any sort of like um yeah, like ritual,
yeah.
um
Do
no
you,
pun intended.
no, that's Did you so when you write the lyrics, do you write those before or after the guitar stuff?
um Before,
Really?
yeah,
And you try to fit
they're
the
like they're
guitar
like
stuff.
they're like separate tracks.
Right.
There's like a lyric train and a music train, and then sometime they like down the road. um
So it's always before, like you write the song out lyrically and then
No, I sorry, I shouldn't say before. It's just they're happening at separate times. Like we're working on the music,
right.
working on things, and then I'm also working on lyrics to something, and maybe it will work with that music. But I tend to just be like writing, and then like a little patch of writing will like seem like it's cohesive thought or song, and then I'll take those words and be like, oh, maybe it will fit with this music that we've been writing. Um,
Yeah.
we're just kind of always like like jamming, and I'm like playing music like as a band, and then I'll be playing some guitar and piano at home, coming up with melodies. But then I'll have a big scroll um, of lyrics that are just constantly being worked on, and I'll sift through them and find what lyrics might fit with the music that we're working on.
That's
Uh,
that makes a lot of sense. That's essentially what I've been doing with Chris with the Mission to the Sun stuff. So
yeah,
I have like pages of stuff, and I just go, okay, this little thing I can bring in here, maybe cut it up a little bit, and you know.
yeah, that stuff's great, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really awesome when Chris played me some of like the demos, I think last spring, or
Mm,
maybe it was the actual tracks before they got mastered. But yeah, it's great.
thanks. Yeah, we've been working on it for like 5 years, I think, at least. So, like,
Oh, holy smokes.
yeah, on and off. It wasn't like 5 years of constant work or anything, because we're both, he's doing, of course, Ritual Howls, and I'm doing whatever the hell I'm doing. Um, and but once in a while, we'll be like, oh yeah, we got these ideas. Let's try to, you know, develop that. Um,
Yeah,
but
because
yeah,
you
it's
guys have been like playing in projects off and on, right? And kind of just like, well, I would always go into the loft and you guys would be jamming,
yeah,
like doing stuff synced up through like MIDI.
yeah,
What is it, like MIDI magic, man? You guys had the MIDI magic going on.
yeah. I love the MIDI. And the syncing of that, always seems, yeah. No, we would always play together. He was in that band Dissect or whatever
Yeah,
back,
him and Dave, right?
yeah, back in like the early 2000s, uh, and so we we'd always hang out and we'd jam a little bit then. But yeah, when I started doing stuff at that loft, would started off like, I'll bring a drum machine over to like write some stuff once in a while. And then it was like, oh, why don't you bring this thing over? And then it was like a pile of gear.
Yeah,
Now
I
it's like,
remember the
oh, well,
pile of gear.
and I was like, oh, might as well bring the PA system. I'm like, okay. And then it was like this whole thing. So
Yeah.
I it's always fun to like hook up all the gear together and jam. And didn't really make anything out of that, because that's just, I don't know. It's fun,
Mm-hmm.
but you need some dedicated, it's a different process. With like Mission to
Yeah.
the Sun, it's a lot more like controlled, you know.
Yeah, you got
Like,
to have some sort of like vision and like
yeah.
motivation to like create something together as a group, or else you're
Yeah.
just like, or else you're just like having fun in the garage, like playing some tunes, and then
Yeah, that's fun too, but I feel like it's a necessary, like, so there was a point in early 2010, I think like 2010 to like about 2013. When did you guys start? When the Ritual House start? Like 2013, 2012 or something like that?
yeah, so yeah, yeah. I think we
So like
first started playing.
before that, me and Chris and a couple other people, we'd have this like rock and roll jam out sesh every week,
Oh,
and
cool.
and we would not record anything, and it was just like, we're so sloppy, whatever. But Chris would play guitar or bass or whatever, and I'll play drums, and once in a while I'll throw a synth in there. But it was just like a fun thing to do, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but it develops that kind of rapport too. I'm not saying
Hmm.
anybody should go that route. Here, jam together for 15 years, then write a project that makes sense, you
Let's
know.
start. Yeah.
But it does help having that history, and knowing kind of like the, I don't know what the word is, like the frequency that the other person operates in, or the headspace, or just certain tropes that they like, or knowing how they compose stuff, I'm sure now
Yeah.
you're feeling that with Ritual Howls, like you kind of know Chris and Ben's, you know.
Yeah. It definitely like, yeah, the friendship and the creative, the collaboration has like evolved and just gotten better, over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, you really get to like this weird, seems like preternatural syncing action, or.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of what the other person like is uh good at contributing, and
Right.
like you know and where they're coming from. uh it helps
Yeah.
with the expectations too. So you're not like what the fuck, man, like da, 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 da. It's like, oh no, this is how Paul operates, this is how Chris operates, how Ben operates. It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to get through those first few years as a band because everyone has so many expectations of like everyone like has an idea of how they want the band to go or they want the project to go.
We,
It's tough.
you guys seem like you're on the similar page anyway with when you write
Yeah,
stuff. It's actually been,
yeah.
fairly like you guys have like a fairly consistent sound, as far as your sound. It was actually amazing you kept it together so long for that sound. Because when I do stuff, I'm just like, all right, I'm over this idea. I'm making stuff with, like a violin now or whatever the hell. So it's
Hmm.
it's pretty cool to see like consistency, and seems like people responding to it pretty well.
Yeah, it's funny, like one of the first tours we did, I think we like went to California and like rented a car, drove up and played some shows, and we're like hanging out in Oakland, and this guy who really liked the band, we were just like outside like smoking a cigarette or something, and he was like he's like, you guys are great, man, don't get weird. He's like, so many bands put out a great record and they just get weird. I was like, I don't know. At first, I was like, well, maybe we want to get weird. But then I thought, and I was like, yeah, there's a number of ways to like uh, experiment artistically and sonically, and
Hmm.
like I can start projects with other friends. I like played in a bunch of other bands. I can like do my own like noise, like drone shit. But if we work so hard to like write these songs, and like people are coming to like shows and paying money because they want to like have a good time and hear some of like the songs that they like listening to in their car or whatever, like I'm not gonna just like walk in there like a fucking egomaniac and throw a total curveball and like just like fucking, I don't know, like put a microphone in a bowl of jello and start screaming in it. Like I can get weird in a number of ways other than like having Ritual Howls be that avenue. Like we just keep writing the songs that we enjoy making, and we enjoy that like other people are like having fun and um, having a good time at the shows whenever that happens again.
Yeah, and you guys, you're definitely one of the more. I mean, I don't know about a lot of other bands, but just it just seems like you're very very consistent with practicing together. At least you were before Corona, of course. But you guys were practicing like once or twice a week, even when you didn't have shows, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I I was always kind of jealous of that. I was like, man, I wish I had a project where that happened to me because like everybody I work with usually is, like we get together and we jam, but our schedules are just too crazy to do it on a consistent basis. It'd always be like before a show, it'd be like, all right, we got to figure some shit out. Let's get together a couple of times and, that's, it works, but it's not as potent as that constant practice, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't know how everyone like had the continued effort, consistent effort, you know.
Yeah,
It's
to do
not like
that.
we're fucking like playing huge shows and like, we're not professional band, but we're just doing it because we enjoy it and like
You're like a semi-professional though,
yeah, we're getting there. I mean, it's fun. We finally almost 8 years later, we got a booking agent in Europe, so that's pretty rad. Right
Oh,
before
cool.
right before COVID hit.
Oh, you got a booking agent now? That's cool. Because I know before it
Yeah,
was like you and Chris planning all those shows or whatever.
yeah, it was pretty intense trying to book everything. We don't have a booking agent in the States.
Uh-huh.
Um, that hasn't worked out, but we finally got one in Europe, and I don't know, it'd be nice to be able to tour a little bit and like um, pay some bills and be able to keep making music and
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I think it was like I just always was trying to be like militant about band practice because I've been in a number of bands where all it takes is like a few weeks of someone saying you get that phone call, you're like, I can't jam today, man, and the next person, next week, this week's not so good. And then like a few months go by and you're like, oh, there goes that band, like,
How many projects? I mean, I don't want to say like by number, but like, so you had a number of projects before you did Ritual Howls, right? Like
yeah, probably played in like 10, I don't know,
10?
10
Wow.
bands before. Yeah, I mean, going back to when I was a kid, just like, and
When did you
then a handful in Detroit, and um, yeah.
when did you start with band stuff?
Oh, I don't know, when I was in high school, man. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that's when I started, but yeah, it's
yeah. I was like, oh man, it's like I can't hang out with the jocks anymore. They keep making fun of me, you know. But I like want to. I don't know. I want to have friends and I want to be like cool. So I want to fucking start
yeah.
playing music. I want to get a guitar and start playing in like fucking rock bands. And so yeah. And then I like went to school and met a bunch of kids from Louisville. And like they started playing they were all into the Louisville scene. It's like a bunch of indie bands and plugged into all this stuff. It was like I never was introduced to sort of more underground music until I met them, and we started a bunch of bands.
Hmm.
I moved to New York, and that was a fucking mess. Played in some bands there.
How long were you in New York for?
I think like 3 years, I think.
It's a good. So,
Um,
what year was that in
it
New
was a
York?
good run.
It's a good run for New
uh,
York. I mean,
It was
3
a
years.
good run for New York. Yeah. I don't know if 3 years felt like 10, but it was 3. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
And then, yeah. And then back here to Michigan and played in a few. And that's where I met Chris. I was playing in that band with Tia Baptist Church.
Mm.
Chris like came in and played drums for us a couple times. I think we were jamming. And then when that band, um, yeah, fizzled out, then Ritual House started.
Yeah. It's.
Uh,
Yeah. I remember. we were still doing those jams or whatever, the live rock jams, and Chris brought in like a Ritual House tape. It was like the first thing you guys did together or whatever. He's like, check this out, man, and he put it on, and I was like, wow, this sounds like a song. Like it's already like it makes sense, you know. Like I think you should keep doing this, you know. And that was
Cool.
probably yeah, it was probably like 2012, right before you guys like dove full into that, you know. Um,
Yeah.
um I just I looked up the video, the Alone Together video on YouTube just to see how it was doing, and it was over 100,000 plays now, which
Oh, sorry. You were cutting out. My internet sucks. What were you saying? You looked up the what?
I looked up the Alone Together video that we worked
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Like it's got like 100,000 plays, and I was like, God damn, really?
Dude, that's awesome. That was cool
That's
when you
definitely like
did
the
that.
oh yeah, that was fun to work with on that. Um yeah, like it's fun collaborating with you on the movie stuff, is what I'm saying. So
Yeah, and that video for Mission of the Sun, or sorry,
yeah,
Mission to the Sun. Yeah, that was awesome.
yeah, that was a fun time making that. I still have the short film. I'm not sure exactly where I was gonna like enter it in some festivals, but then I was like, the coronavirus hit, and I was like, I don't know, like, where's it gonna get shown on Zoom or whatever, you know? And
Yeah, I think
like,
film is fucking
I mean, what? Yeah,
bad
what's
scene for a while.
yeah, like I want to just have like a showing too, like in a loft, and just have like some chairs and a movie screen and that kind of thing. But I'm glad we cut it down to like a music video format, and at least people can check out a little bit of it, of that whole thing. So
Yeah, it's fun to like see some of that footage. That was
yeah,
that was awesome. I've been like, I don't know, I love film, and it's always fun being a part of productions. I think I've been in a couple, just like not acting, but in other, just helping out with films, and that's cool. That was
yeah,
a fun one too.
yeah. Well, you're an actor in those two, technically. I guess one of them you had to be because you're the singer, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
actually, wasn't it we? I'm trying to think about I think it was actually shot for a different song of yours.
Yeah, we were supposed to do a video for This Is Transcendence, and then
Right.
it
And
just it like things got pushed back or something, and so then uh yeah,
yeah,
we ended up using it for Alone Together.
yeah,
That happens with a lot of our stuff. It's so, man, making videos is,
it's tough.
yeah. I mean, I don't, there's only so many hours in the day. I mean, that's the whole thing these days. It's like, where do I put my time? You know, and
Yeah,
like
time management is
yeah, with the, at the kid and fixing up the house, and like, um, I only have like X amount of hours in my week to work on stuff. And it's
yeah,
like, I
is
want to be making music. I want to be
right.
writing, or else I want to be like reading and like interesting work, or listening to interesting work. So to like, and I'm not like some video whiz with Final Cut or Premiere. So it's like, okay, make a video. All right, let me like put music off of the table for the next 3 months while I try and make a video, It's like,
Yeah, a video shooting doesn't take that long. I mean, it's still like hours, but like I think that Traffic Island thing we did in like 5 days, all the stuff, So that's like okay, 5 days. But then it's like editing it is what
mm-hmm.
because you just have to you can only sit there for like 2 hours, and then you just maybe 4 hours or something. Then you got to be like, okay, I gotta take a break from this now because you're like unable to make the decisions. Your decision making
Mm-hmm.
process is compromised. Like I feel like way more so with video than audio. Well, I can sit longer audio sessions than video sessions.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think just because I'm more familiar and like comfortable with audio editing and like software and just like
Maybe.
music, because video starts to, yeah,
I
wear
think
the,
it was like the senses too, because you have to watch it, so you're like absorbing it with your eyes and instead of just your ears or whatever. And then it's like just more data coming into you.
yeah,
So you're like,
yeah.
all right, I'm overwhelmed now. Like, I don't know.
It's like, yeah, sensory overload or whatever.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
hard, but it is beautiful when it comes together.
Yeah, man. I love, yeah, images with music. It's great. And like, I don't know. I think it's also, yeah, the ideas, I feel so much more comfortable coming up with like, I don't know, playing guitar or musical ideas and lyrical ideas. But I like to say that I'm a visual artist,
uh,
um, but most of the paintings I do are like portraits or paintings of like objects and things. So it's like visually conceiving an idea for a video or for like a series of images is like it's very intimidating and exhausting. So I tend to just like be like, I don't want to do that. I want to play music. Oh, I don't know.
is it intimidating because you feel like you're going to be judged on a different, uh, you know, with a different thing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's, maybe it is, but I don't know. I think like I love looking at art and I love good films and like I don't
Yeah,
know. If anything, I think it's I would just judge myself, It's like,
sure.
oh, this is shit. I don't want to, you know, throw that out. Um, so yeah, I guess I just have more confidence just because I've like played music for so long. But I don't know. I also feel like videos just take like a really good idea. It's like something like interesting,
Yeah.
um, for good ones. It's like you can always like, I don't know, or maybe they don't. I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, it's
I'm on
yeah.
like
I think
podcast coffee world. I,
it's cool.
I saw
uh,
this fucking Rocky Erickson video where all he's doing is walking around a graveyard, and it was awesome. So maybe I'm just
you
overthinking it.
you got a graveyard right there. You can just walk
Yeah,
around.
just like take a phone and walk around in the graveyard and be like, "Here's the video for the next record." I think I just like, yeah, put too much pressure on things or overthink things. They don't need to be, um, you
Yeah, but
know.
that's you. You're a thinker. When you can't stop yourself thinking. Uh, you know.
Uh,
Uh, I
I
mean,
guess
you
you
gotta.
always just want something to be good.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
think that's reasonable. You want. I mean, there's a lot of. There's so much data coming out. It's funny. I looked at s- some website. I don't know where it's from, but like Poland maybe. They posted the mission to the sound video, and then all the other videos of post-punk bands that came out like in those 2 days, and it
oh
was
yeah,
seriously like 20 videos,
yeah,
and I was like, holy shit, like that's a lot of
yeah.
videos, like that just came out.
I
I'm
mean,
not
I
gonna.
guess, yeah, there's a lot of people fucking making music all over the world. I mean, that's also, I don't know, that's what's great about it is you always find new shit. There's so much of it being made.
But you're getting into certain software processing too, right? As far as
Yeah, been doing a lot of that just because of the pandemic. Like I've been having to make music at home a lot, and
yeah,
speaking of that, I should probably go in a minute. I hear my family is um, calling, but
sure.
like yeah, I can't wait. You know, I can't like turn guitars up to 11 while the baby's napping here, and
Same
so I
same
gotta
boat here, man.
so I gotta figure out ways to make it. So yeah, I've been using a lot of like software stuff just to record and get the ideas down. We've got a new record that we're almost finished with, and I've
That's
done
right.
like
Yeah.
all of the guitar tracking just uh like straight to the computer,
Oh,
and then just so I can build and look at all the riffs and all of the harmonies, and then we're going to I'm going to reamp stuff. So sometime here in a few weeks, go up to Ben's place and just run some stuff back out through amps and record it to try and get some more of the sound. But yeah, been
that's
using
that's
and
cool,
doing what I
man.
can do. Fucking pandemic record, man, you know.
So it's you guys are mostly doing it yourself then, or all yourself, right?
Yeah, doing everything ourselves, and then we'll once everything gets finished up, like pretty close, we'll send it. Our friend Adam up at Hamtramck Sounds has mixed the last 2 records that we've done.
Right, right.
So we'll probably hand it off to him in January, and he's like a machine. We'll get everything really dialed in. It should be finished.
So you'll be
Um,
mixing it. Yeah.
yeah. And I
That's
don't know how we're going to do that, socially distant mixing it. We'll probably just be like, Adam, do what you do, and maybe listen to some mixes
yeah.
here, and it's like some back and forth. But
Well,
yeah,
well, hopefully we'll get past this soon, and it's the last thing, and we're hanging out by summertime. You know.
yeah, definitely, man. You're gonna take the vaccine?
I mean, I when it's available, I'm down
Yeah.
for it because I gotta teach the classes, the martial arts classes, and all that. So I gotta,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's gotta happen. So I'm hesitant about it, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean the FDA
So,
approved it, so we're good, right? It's good to
yeah,
just get it in here.
I put a lot of other fucking worse shit in my body than a vaccine, so
I know,
I'm not
right?
worried about it. I
Yeah,
lived through my 20s, so I think I'll be just fine.
true that. Live through the 20s. Well,
Mm-hmm.
sir, it's good to talk to you. I know you gotta go.
You too.
Um,
Thanks so much, Carell. Hopefully, I didn't bore
no, you're
you to
awesome.
death on the conversation, but yeah, man, it's so awesome that you're doing this, and look
I'm just
forward
trying to talk to people and you know see what's going on and talk to the good people I know. So um, but yeah, man, I'll talk to you soon
for
again.
sure.
We'll hang out.
Yes, that would be great. Take
All
care.
right, later.